which is, we all come across these situations when we are very dogmatic about how we know to manage our patients. Along will come a patient that will completely stump us. So we have so many out of the box situations and thinking that have to happen in myopia. So this is Dr. Sumita Agarkar, Deputy Director, Pediatric Ophthalmology, my colleague and friend of many years. And she's going to be giving a beautiful talk on thinking outside the box, how to manage myopia in difficult situations. Thank you, Dr. Sumita.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, I'm going to, as she said, I'm going to take a little bit of devil's advocate here and actually tell you where exactly probably myopia prevention or myopia intervention is probably not as such a established, because there is little evidence for these situations. So, several speakers before me have actually talked about this, and I probably will not go over it. Everybody probably feels that this is, everybody knows that this is economic burden which is coming in years, and numbers are frightening. This is 2015 data for India, where the prevalence has gone to 13.1%, and the school studies which were done around Chennai, if you will look at the private schools, it is actually approaching around 18 to 19% from Shankar Nethralaya data of school screenings. And if you go to really private affluent children are there, it is already approaching 25%. So probably interventions are required, and we need to look at various interventions which are already being described by several eloquent speakers before me. So these are basically where we are dealing with at this point, where we have some evidence that these interventions work. So at the point, probably only these three which show a really promising thing. But the situation which we don't know about, or we are not really sure where atropine has a role or where DIMS has a role, is probably these are when I was looking at complex situation where we don't know, that we don't have enough evidence, probably these are the situations where we are actually don't have clear-cut answers on what to do for these children. Of course, allergy to the atropine is something which you really cannot predict, and the commonest symptoms will be these. And however, none of the serious studies have reported any serious side effects with atropine, especially with 0.01%, which is the most commonly used prescription. But probably you have to really be a little bit aware where children have Down syndrome, and they can have exaggerated mediatic and cycloplegic response. Children who are asthmatic can actually be worsen because of the thickening of secretions and dryness of the airways, which is caused by atropine. And these children probably you need to monitor or be careful about prescribing without getting a pediatric opinion about it. Again, children who are anti-muscarinic medications, such as like some antihistaminics, also can have additive effect with topical medication. So probably you need to speak to pediatricians before starting atropine in these certain situations. Again, Dr. Rohit mentioned that 0.01 to 1% is a very common mistake, and a lot of times it is very important to probably show their parents how to administer, that only one drop is sufficient, as well as that to look for the correct percentage when you are giving children atropine. Now, non-responders is also one complex situation where there are no clear-cut evidence on what is to be done. So both the strategies of increasing the frequency, like instead of one, maybe twice a day, or increasing the strength from 0.01 to 0.02 or 0.05 seems to be reasonable. But at the moment, there is no evidence, there is no clear evidence, or there has been no comparative studies done for looking at these two groups who are considered as so-called non-responders. And non-responders can be as high as 15 to 16%, so which is a fairly good number if you look at the numbers of children who have myopia in our country. Essence study, which had a small number, also reported 16% who were non-responders. So probably in these patients, however, there is some LAMP study does come up with some evidence that if you increase the frequency, you increase the strength of the drop, it probably is going to be more effective. So that's one option which is coming up. But if after 2 years progression is still continuing, then probably you need to look at other options like combined interventions or some other technology like DIMS. Now, we don't know whether atropine is effective in ocular comorbidities. Sometimes high myopia is not because of the axial length increase, but because of the coexisting ocular comorbidities like subluxated lenses, microspherophakia, keratoconus, juvenile glaucoma. They all present sometimes with progressive myopia. A careful examination, anterior segment examination, should rule out these conditions, and there is really no big diagnostic dilemma in this. But obviously, they are not the right candidates for low dose atropine or other myopia interventions which have been discussed earlier. Syndromic or very high myopia or pathological myopia like Marfan's or retinal dystrophies sometimes come. The initial symptoms in children are often nothing else except myopia, and these are generally non-progressive, and role of atropine is not clear in these conditions. These conditions have not been studied and probably were excluded from most of the studies which have been published in the literature. And these children can often present with high myopia, and there is a temptation to prescribe atropine or other interventions in these children, but probably it is sensible to look for more evidence before starting atropine or any other intervention for that matter in this particular subset of patients. Very young children or pre-myopes, again, ATOM3 is looking at the effect of atropine, but again, looking at the genetic history, Shruti has very eloquently mentioned that risk of myopia does go up if both the parents are myopia. So there is sometimes pressure from the parents as well as from the evidence also that to start atropine in very young children to prevent myopia. But again, probably jury is still out on this, whether you should really start atropine in these or atropine or any other interventions to offset the onset of myopia. Thank you for your attention.